Today I'm going to be breaking down individual shading, coverage, what their default shading is, team shading. It's going to be a lot to lock in, and let's talk about it. The three things we need to discuss are cover one, cover two man, and cover zero. The first one I'm going to talk about is this cover one hole, and we're going to be using empty verticals every single time. Now, cover one hole or cover one robber, their default shading is shaded to the outside, meaning routes like corner routes, out routes, those kind of routes, out breaking routes, just are not going to get that great of separation. But we can take advantage of this on offense with slants, digs, posts, drags, etc. And this all changes as well with how ad catches are going to go ahead and work as well. So cover one hole, for example, if we were to go ahead and run a play like this on offense, where I go ahead and just say run 5,000 slants, I know these slants are going to they're winning every single time, because again, cover one, the default shading is shaded outside because they have help inside. You can check there how we're going to go ahead and smoke the man-to-man, because again, we're utilizing what kind of default shading or leverage they are giving us. Now we flip over to the opposite spectrum, going to cover zero. The shading is reversed. The default shading for a cover zero is shaded inside. Routes like slants, etc., and especially in MUT, this isn't going to be the greatest representation because the secondary for the Vikings is atrocious, in MUT at least, or in Madden. But in a MUT, when you have slants, because again, they're going to be inside leverage, you can see it doesn't get nearly as good a separation as it did against cover one hole, again, because the default shading is shaded inside, whereas cover one is shaded outside. Now, the last one, and this is all the simple stuff, is cover two man. Cover two man is way different than these two, and it has a trailing technique. The way the defenders play is based upon what side they are on. The defenders on the right side are going to play the left hip of the receiver. The defenders on the left side are going to play the right hip of the receiver. And for cover two man, the default shading is shaded underneath, meaning routes like drags, whips, slants, etc. are not going to work all too well. But again, the shading, individual shading is different based upon what side of the field they're on. So outbreaking routes are going to be fantastic to be able to beat this because they're playing inside hips of the receivers. So we can take advantage of that. For example, if we were to go ahead and run a route combination like this, I'll show you guys what happens with A on like a in route, and let's go and put B on an out route to the left. Let's go ahead and put RB on an out route to left and B on an in route. And again, because B is going to be played to the inside hip, that drag route generally is going to be pretty darn smothered. Same thing goes for A, Y, because we're playing outside, he's going to get open. And then let's go ahead and put X on a slant route again, because it all depends on what kind of side of the field they are playing on. So you can see right there how he plays inside leverage, and A gets just put into a body bag. But again, they're playing respected to what side of the field they're on. Now, these guys don't have route abilities, so they're not going to be able to get any kind of separation. But if we had like a short and elite, you could see how we could go ahead and potentially highball that to the outside. Again, we're just taking advantage of leverage. That's literally all we're doing. Now, this is where things start to get complicated with team shading and individual shading, and how we can actually override the default shading for each of these man defenses. Now, if you're struggling to attack man defense, I'm hoping this video helps you guys out. But if you want to take it even a step further and have somebody that's laid out an offense for you play by play, attacking the variations of man defense and zone defenses, including match, head on over to the Madden Mastermind Discord server for $9.95 per month via the PayPal link in the description. Now, if you want access to monthly one-on-one coaching, it's going to be $39.95 per month. Both of those links are going to be in the description below. Let's get back into this video. Now, we're going to go through all of them again, and we're going to start off in a cover one hole, and again, sticking into verticals. Cover one hole, remember, cover one hole, cover one robber are all shaded outside, but we can override that, and we can say, hey, we want you guys to play inside. So, you see how all these defenders shift inside on offense? That is a tell for us. You see them shift around, you know, hey, okay, based upon what their default play is, their different shading, we know what they are doing. Now, let's talk about the cover zero. Remember, cover zero, the default shading is shaded inside. We're going to go over Storm Brave for this one, and we're going to go into Gun Bunch Verticals. So, shading inside, we can default this and change it to a shade outside. So, things like slants are going to go ahead and get a good release. So, for example, if we had Wright and Reynolds running a slant, I'll even hop off of Soul Runner here. I know with a route ability like a short and elite, those are going to be money again because we are saying, hey, everybody play outside instead of your default inside. Now the last one is going to be 2-man under. 2-man under is a default shade underneath, and we can again override that by shading over the top. So if we were to shade over the top, normally in a 2-man under situation, they're going to press at the line. We'll even press the receivers, and you're going to see right here, we're going to send everybody vertically. X, Y, B are all going to get free releases because we said play over the top, meaning it's a lot easier to ag you. So if you want to play ag defense, play 2-man under, but do not shade over the top. This is all the team shading, from shading inside, outside, over top, underneath. We've talked about it, but now we need to discuss individual shading, which is probably the most complicated thing in the game because it depends on the hash mark or on the side of the field that the defender is on. Now, in a cover 0 or to cover man, it's very, very obvious, but in match defense, it's not so obvious. And if you want to learn how individual shading works for match, head over to the Madden Mastermind Discord server via the PayPal links in the description below. Now, we have defenders on the left side of the field, we have defenders on the right side of the field, and this is where individual shading comes into play. Starting off with defenders on the left side of the field, individual shading is based upon what side they are on, and it is from their perspective, not ours. Danzer, for example, is on the left side of the field from our perspective, but from his perspective, it's on the right side of the field. So if we were to go Y-A-X, we now have shade left, we have shade right, back off and press. We have to understand back off and press do not mean shade over top, and it does not mean shade underneath. Shade over top, shade underneath can only be done as a team shading. But for example, Dancer, if we were to shade him to the right, in his perspective, that is saying, okay, we need to play outside. If we were to shade to the left, that means, all right, I need to play inside. But on the flip side, if we go ahead and just close this out, we go Y-A-B, this is now reversed because from our perspective, that defender's on the right side. From his perspective, he is on the left side of the field. And I hope this makes sense. If it does not, please feel free to ask me in the comment section to clarify something, and I will happily do so and explain it to you. So we go Y-A-B. When we tell him to shade to the left, in his perspective, in his mind, it means shade to the outside. If we say Y-A-B and we play shade to the right, it means in his perspective to shade to the inside. Again, it's complicated, and this is how it plays in match defense as well. Again, the alignment is just going to be a little bit different. You have to understand how match defense works to know how shading is going to work. So this is individual shading, and you can do this for everybody. And again, if you have any questions, if you're still a little lost about the individual shading, please let me know down below in the comment section, and I will get back to you pretty darn quick, okay? More than willing to help you guys out with this because it's very confusing. I understand that, but subscribe if you guys are new. We're going to go ahead and end this video. I'm talking too much, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range, cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't come